Hello and welcome to Balanced Existence. I'm back with another collective energy update and reading. So something that's coming to me immediately is something about routines and sleep. So maybe this is something that you've been working on, and I'm actually being called to kind of do more of like a workshop style reading where together we go through each facet of life and you can take notes on whatever resonates and even set goals, and I'll do an energy update for each facet. So if you are coming across this video, there are some powerful reflections and breakthroughs that are in store for you. I can feel it very strongly. And you're going to leave this video having set aligned goals, having gotten clarity on the priorities that you need to be implementing right now, all for your highest success, for full alignment with your soul's spiritual evolution. So this is very powerful, very exciting. I think this is going to be a really magical collective reading and shift for us. So of course, let us know in the comments what breakthroughs you have, how you arrange and prioritize your facets of life, what parts of your routine you may recognize need to be changed or reassessed or reprioritized. And just let us know what intentions and commitments and goals you are setting today as you walk away from this video. So get comfortable, get cozy, maybe get a nice drink that you can sip on. Definitely write these things down on paper or in your journal, whatever you prefer. But especially I encourage you to write in the comments, because when you do so, you really lock in the frequency of your breakthroughs and transformations. Because any interaction you have with this video is a tangible connection to this collective that you are a part of. So when you're showing up as your full authentic self and your full embodiment of abundance, and you express and share your truth with the collective, you will obtain more momentum in your goals, your intentions, your commitments. And this really is not a measure of success or a matter of metrics for the video. This is truly on a quantum level how you are showing up, because how you show up is simply a byproduct of your identity and your self-image, which is crucial for how you attract and magnetize that which you seek. So when you like, when you comment, when you join the community and subscribe, this is a gesture that aligns with your intentions and your commitments and the identity of who you want to show up as. So I'm just so excited that you're here, and I'm so excited to build this community and amplify the frequency of this collective that we are all a part of. And I mean, this is what alchemy and co-creation truly are all about. When you take that intention and you turn it into an idea, and you take that idea and you turn it into a goal, I mean, this is the manifestation and the co-creation with the universe that we're talking about all the time on this channel. So I, again, am so grateful for your presence, especially as we're just starting out growing this community. Thank you for being here and being part of the collective, and for opening your energy and committing to doing the inner work and taking part in these reflections, because it really does have a ripple effect and a significant and meaningful impact in the collective consciousness. So before I dive into the facets, with routines and sleep coming through, of course, you may need to be prioritizing sleep, but also getting clear on what it is that you need to be implementing in your routines. And especially if you have a journaling practice, a great way to do this is having regular check-ins, and even like putting it on your calendar if you need to remind yourself to do it regularly, but having regular check-ins as to, what you need to maybe prioritize more in your routines. And, there's always something that we kind of have in the back of our minds that we want to be doing more. Like, I want to be going on more walks, or I want to be working out more, or I want to be cooking at home more, or, I want to be, going to bed earlier so I'm getting enough sleep more often, or whatever it may be. I want to be spending more time with my friends, or I want to be spending more time, with my loved ones, or I want to be spending more time on my creative projects or that business idea that I've kind of been neglecting, or I want to spend more time organizing my space. Literally endless endless possibilities. There's so much to do in life, and there are so many distractions, especially, on the online space. And there's just such an overload of resources that are available to us, and books to read, and podcasts to listen to, and music to listen to, and meditations, guided meditations to do. And there's just so many things that we can fill our time with. And so Spirit is asking you to think about what a perfect day in the life of your routine would be. Like, what are the things that really feed your soul, that you're really drawn to do? Because ultimately there's always going to be something that may need to be moved up in the priority list if you really took the time to kind of rank all of the things in our routines that feed and fuel and nurture us, and, really get clear on what are our priorities. Like, if you only had an hour, would you spend it talking to a friend and having that social fulfillment? Or would you spend it, researching a topic that you're really interested in, that you've been wanting to learn more about? Like, ultimately there's going to need to be some like ranking and intentional prioritization of certain aspects of our routine. So that message was coming through Spirit. It's kind of practical guidance here, but it's coming through strong. So take that as it resonates. And we're going to be going through different facets of life and kind of pulling energy updates on them. And before I start with the first energy pull, another message that's coming through that's super strong is that, of course, we are in winter right now. If you're seeing this message, of course, it's timeless. Take it as it resonates. But right now, at the time of recording and releasing this message, we're in winter. And just a quick reminder that, as January approaches and New Year's resolutions become such a heavy topic, that, the calendar year is a little bit odd in the sense that we make these big goals and commitments on January 1st when we're still in the middle of the winter season. And the winter season is meant to be one of rest and reflection, and not necessarily one of taking a lot of action. So just remember not to fall prey to the societal expectations and traps of feeling like you need to, completely transform overnight from December 31st to January 1st. Of course, our inner work as well as our outer work, and, the habits we like to develop, and, the parts of our routine we'd like to prioritize, all those, outer world improvements are an ever evolving infinite journey. So, don't feel the societal pressures or the shame, of the New Year's, the culture of New Year's. And of course, spring equinox starts in March. So that's the beginning of the astrological year, starting with Aries. And so that is a great time for us to really, jump into that spring energy of taking action, and then accordingly moving through the season. So of course, if you're seeing this message in any given season, you can always take that time to reflect. But if you are watching this in the winter season and you're being called to go through these facets of life and do this huge reflection, this year-end reflection, if you will, on, where you're at and where you want to go to really get clear, then really harness the energy of reflection and that kind of stillness of the planning phase. Really embody that and surrender to it, while also at the same time not feeling like you need to make a bunch of plans for New Year's and commitments and things like that. But if you are seeing this as it's being released, we're in November, we're ending November. So let's get this this calendar year end 2025 reflection going. So I want to start with the first and foremost facet of life, and that is spirituality and self-transformation. And of course, just disclaimer, of course, a lot of these facets are going to overlap. This is just our way of categorizing them in a clear way. And so this is, of course, what this channel is all about. This is about what are our core values and beliefs, as well as what are we surrendering to in our spiritual path. So this includes when we talk about routines, this includes things like ritual. Maybe you're drinking cacao, maybe you're meditating, maybe you're saying a prayer regularly, maybe you're spending more time throughout your day connecting with your body, connecting with your intuition, feeling that connection to source energy, feeling that connection with your angels and your spirit guides, saying prayers to your angels and your spirit guides, surrendering to your highest timeline, doing the inner work, the shadow work, so that you can change your identity, expand your consciousness, raise your frequency, and, continue to evolve on your spiritual path. And also in line with connection with your angels would be recognizing signs and synchronicities that your guides and angels are trying to communicate to you. All types of facets that we can go on the spiritual path, and as we support our self-transformation. So this is usually the number one thing, because ultimately, whatever you have in your life in terms of money and career and status and power, or community and friends and family and relationships and children and every other thing that is an external or practical manifestation of our lives on the earthly realm, doesn't really compare to this number one facet. Because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, what's going to still be there with you is your soul, the essence of your being, the self-transformation, the spiritual evolution you've been through, and your spirituality. So as we kind of go through these facets, after this one, you may order them in any order, but usually this is the first one. So if you're noticing that maybe in some ways you're prioritizing these other facets that are to come over this first one, then that can be a message, through this video, through this live reflection that we're doing, this workshop we're doing, that could be spirit reminding you of ways that you may need to get into the habit or remember to constantly be prioritizing your spirituality and self-transformation as your first priority, your first, facet, the most important one. And then, of course, I'm going to go through these in no particular order, but it's most important that the first one is first. Okay, so let's pull a card for spirituality and self-development for our energy update. We've got the King of Cups. So I feel that you are balancing your inner divine masculine with your, your emotions, right? Which are very much led by your inner divine feminine. So I'm definitely getting this union of self energy and just coming into this emotional awareness. We talked in the previous reading about somatics and feeling your body and feeling your emotions. And this is a huge part of manifestation. Oh, by the way, manifestation definitely fits into this first facet, self-transformation. That includes, changing your self, changing your inner world so that you can magnetize the dream life that you desire. That's very much part of this first facet as well. Okay, we also have the Six of Pentacles coming out for this facet. So there's definitely this concept of giving versus receiving. So again, and we've talked about this in other readings as well. If this is resonating for you, I definitely recommend checking out my previous readings. Just go through the thumbnails and whatever resonates to you, have a listen and see what guidance there is for you. But this balancing of the duality of giving and receiving, and this is all hand in hand with that balancing of your inner divine feminine and inner divine masculine, especially if you're on a twin flame journey. This is huge. This is the whole purpose of all of the triggers that you go through with your twin flame is all pointing you to this. And you don't have to be on a twin flame journey to resonate with the spiritual journey of balancing inner divine feminine and masculine, but I'm saying especially if you're on a twin flame journey, this is what you're being called to do for certain. So with the Six of Pentacles, just as you feel more connected to the collective consciousness, you will find yourself feeling that unconditional love, that generosity. But of course, we are on a physical earthly realm. And so we can't just go through life feeling unconditional love for everyone and then allowing them to treat us in ways that don't align to that, right? So there is a sense of when, how much do you have to give? What level of generosity can you practice while also keeping your own cup full and nurturing your own inner world and inner emotions? So, again, having that inner emotional awareness that we talked about with the King of Cups, and just knowing, what are the limits of your generosity, and what are the limits of the resources that you were able to share with others, and, opening yourself up to receiving as you give. I'm getting for this collective, you're probably over giving. And so I'm phrasing this in the context of you being on a journey to open yourself up more to receiving. So let's move on to the next facet, which I'm going to go into health and wellness. So this, we talked about sleep in the beginning. That was coming through really strong, as well as nutrition, fitness. So things like, making sure you are abiding by your morning and evening routines and trying to sleep around the same time every day, with grace, of course, because some of us are night owls living in a 9 to 5 or school hours, so of course there's always difficulties in that, but sleeping, seeing sleep as a sacred time for you and really treating it as such, that's coming through really strong. With nutrition, I'm getting like the foods you eat, of course we've got like holidays coming up, and can you strike that balance between compassion and love for your indulgences and for your body, as well as the balance of healthy eating and discipline when needed. We also have fitness, so this could be any type of movement you're doing, if you're walking, if you're doing strength training, whatever you like to do. Spirit is saying do the things that are fun. This isn't about like forcing yourself to move, but this is also about, exercising the discipline to, overcome any kind of couch potato habits. So, whoever is listening to this, you could be on any level of activeness in terms of your lifestyle. So take the message as it resonates. But this is all included in that health and wellness. We're talking about like physical health in these examples. But I also want to include in this facet of life, mental health. And we'll talk in another facet about kind of like your social connections and that kind of stuff, which definitely feeds into mental health. And even the first facet, when we talk about manifestation, self-transformation, taking that empowered stance of the autonomy and sovereignty of being able to choose how you feel in any given moment, and being able to kind of rewire your mind and your perspective. So again, there's so much overlap with all of these facets, but what are you doing for your mental health? Like, do you have a therapist or people you can talk to? Again, social is a different facet, but even just like hobbies, and again, hobbies is also going to be a different facet, but what are the things that you can do to feed your mental health? And then, of course, health and wellness can consist of a lot of trends and fads. And so just remembering that at the core of it all, to take your intuition to be the guide as to what is what you should be prioritizing, right? There are so many traps and things in the external world and in kind of like our consumer culture, right, that you may feel like you need in order to, fulfill this facet, but you really don't need much. You don't need to buy things. You don't need external things to fulfill this facet. You just need a bed to sleep in, the willpower and the commitment and intention to prioritize sleep. You need the commitment to eat more whole foods or, healthier foods. And you just need, a pair of shoes to go on a walk or run or, do some push-ups or squats, without any equipment. Like there really is, you have enough at your fingertips without having external objects, to fulfill this facet. And mental health, of course, I mean, that is a huge facet or realm within itself. But ultimately, at least when we take the spiritual route, of course, I'm not a doctor. I can't recommend any, or a mental health professional. So I have to disclaim that. But, can you take steps towards linking this with your spirituality, making those intentional choices to, change your perspective? And of course, it's not that simple. And of course, get the help in the appropriate way that you need it for these facets. But that's the kind of message coming through with this facet here. So I'm going to pull some cards. I've got the 3 of Cups. So yeah, I'm definitely getting that celebratory energy. Of course, we have the holidays coming up. So, amidst that connection with others, just prioritizing your health, prioritizing your wellness is also, if you're listening to this around the November, December time frames, is also around the time that we feel, more susceptible to being sick. And so this is also just a reminder of prioritizing your health and wellness throughout the holiday season. Another interpretation of the 3 of Cups that I'm getting is that you may find that feeding and nurturing this facet will be easier with others, with friends and with your community. So maybe you need an accountability buddy where you guys will both go for walks together, or both commit to eating healthy, or both commit to sleeping early, or, and that itself could also be a huge improvement on your mental health. A lot of the physical stuff that when you prioritize sleep, nutrition, and fitness, it will, of course, in turn, feed into improving your mental health as well. But with the 3 of Cups just being that card of connection with others and celebrations, I'm also getting that when you set those goals and you have an accountability buddy or a friend or even a group of people that are all aligned to the same goal and can celebrate milestones together, that is just so much more energetically filled with momentum than if you were to do it alone. So that's another piece of guidance Spirit is bringing to you. We also have the 6 of Wands. So I'm feeling that's very much in alignment with kind of taking on this facet with the help or support or encouragement of others. And then with the 6 of Wands, feeling like you're getting recognition, success, and praise, feeling like people are going to look at you and say, wow, you are really committed to your health and sleeping well and eating well and moving your body. And you may even actually have a career in this realm, if you're a personal trainer or something like that. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you're working towards, some kind of promotion or success in that realm. Or if you're a fitness instructor, or, somebody who works for a health and wellness company or things like that. You may also be getting, this is just channeling through, you may be somebody who's interested in getting into that industry. And so this is an important facet for you because, it's something that is a strong part of your path and of your identity. And so, getting recognition from others is hugely fulfilling in this realm because, you're being recognized for your hard work and for how you prioritize your health. And this is a huge ripple effect that's incredibly inspirational for others. So, continue on with this commitment. We all are in such different places when it comes to this facet. So whatever your goals are, continue on, because even if you're just beginning, you are providing inspiration to somebody. And I'm also hearing share your journey. This can be a great way to connect with others and find community. And, not for the sake of external validation, but, for the sake of inspiring others. And then as a byproduct, you're getting recognition, you're getting praise for how far you've come. And so, yeah, Spirit is saying to share this journey, because even if you're just starting, you're on day one, you could have eaten every day of your life, eaten terrible food, every day of your life gotten terrible sleep, every day of your life up to this point, sat on the couch. And you could be on day one of a commitment, and there are countless people that you are going to inspire. So Spirit is saying to share your journey. If you're called to do that, if this is resonating with you, share your journey with others. The inspiration, do not underestimate the level of inspiration and the strength and power of that ripple effect to the collective that's also working to better themselves. Okay, so that is the second facet. Let's move on to the third facet. We've got free time. So this is anything that is like your hobbies, things that are fun, recreational things, adventure, even like travel, like trips you may want to take, like really anything that you do for fun. Like maybe you've been wanting to go to a theme park. Maybe you've been wanting to, go on a nature trip. Maybe you've been wanting to paint more. This also includes any like creative hobbies, right? So if you're into songwriting or making music or painting, ceramics, jewelry making, these are just things channeling through. So of course, if something is resonating, then this is for sure your message. But again, just like taking a trip, going to a lake for a day, or planning a camping trip, or planning a trip, to another country, or whatever it may be. This could also just be, taking a day to like watch a show that makes you happy or that makes you laugh, watching content or reading a book that is going to, feed into maybe other facets. Maybe you're reading a book on spirituality, our first facet, or maybe you're reading a book on, something regarding health and wellness, right? Like this is just kind of that stuff that you do in your free time that brings you joy. And of course, there's overlap with all of these facets. So let's pull some cards on what you may be experiencing in your free time, hobbies, facet of life. Okay, wow, we have the Page of Swords and the Empress. So wow, I'm definitely feeling like you're going to be getting new ideas. Oh, this is so exciting. This is such a buzzing energy, but then also so grounded and secure with the Empress here. You are quite literally birthing a new idea. I mean, the Empress is all about fertility and, birthing and, the new beginnings that we can harvest. And this comes from, what are these creative projects that you need to be nurturing right now? This is a sign of fertility, of abundance to come, right? So like the earth is fertile. Like all you have to do is plant the seed and water it and, nurture that creative project. What is a passion that, you may have been neglecting recently? This also, the Empress also talks about physical comfort and luxury and the enjoyment of life's pleasures, and just feeling that embodied within you is something that's definitely going to be a result of these projects and free time hobbies that you are fostering and prioritizing with this facet. This could also be something, because the Empress card can represent relationships or family. Like this could also be like a hobby that you're doing with a loved one. And of course, love life is and partnership is also another facet that we'll get into soon. But this could be something that is definitely crossing paths with your love life. So maybe you're meeting somebody that you're going to have a shared hobby, or, you're meeting someone through a creative passion or a passion project that you're pursuing, or the person that you're already dating is somebody that you can do these, recreational activities together, travel together, go on adventures together, or have this passion project together, things like that. So, and then just one last thing I want to say is with the Page of Swords, I'm definitely getting this like intellectual curiosity, new ideas, of course, but some topic that you want to learn more about. So it doesn't have to be like a physical project you're working on. It could just be something that you want to learn more about, like in an intellectual way. Of course, the Empress is a very like grounded, earthly sign of like, what are we manifesting? What are we calling into being? But with the Page of Swords, you may be birthing into existence just knowledge or ideas or new ways of communicating. So ultimately with this facet, you are in a period of growth and learning, and you do have the resources that you need to achieve your goals, to manifest what you would like into creation. and that comes from that mental clarity of the Page of Swords. So that is the third facet. Let us move on to the fourth facet, which is home and environment. So for some of the collective listening to this, you may be wanting to move homes or move out of your family home or move cities even, or countries, or states or whatever. But so another aspect of the home environment could be the home itself. So maybe keeping your home clean, or maybe, having, like I'm hearing like your chores, like your daily household chores, like having improvements as it relates to those habits, maybe like how consistently you do it, or maybe you like are wanting to clean your house more. Or also I'm hearing like organization, decluttering, even like minimalism. You may be like getting rid of things. So these are all things for you to reflect on, like what's resonating, what are areas of this facet that you may want to be nurturing more. When it comes to environment, like the city you live in, this is a huge area of life. We're talking about like, where do you want to live? What type of city? Like more rural or more city? Do you want nature around you? Do you want it to be silent? Do you want it to be the hustle and bustle of the street? Do you what kind of community? I mean, that's another facet we'll get into, of course, but again, there's overlap. This is also like your pets are at home with you. Like, what do you like to do when you're at home? Maybe you're a homebody. Maybe you feel like you're constantly on the go and you don't have enough time at home. Or maybe you feel like you've been meaning to kind of fix up an area of your house to have like a cozy spot for you to enjoy that time being at home, being in your sanctuary, being in your safe space. I'm also hearing like setting up an altar in your home. Like this is definitely crossing over with our first facet of spirituality and self-transformation. So, what are the ways in which you can make your home the most beautiful that it can be? And whatever's popping up in your mind, like I encourage you to write it down, and set those intentions. So let's see what we are going to pull for the fourth facet of home and environment. I'm actually being called to pull 3 cards here. We've got 2 of Swords, the Sun, and 10 of Cups. Wow, very juicy here. So with the 2 of Swords, there is something that you may not be admitting. I'm also picking up on a very specific scenario of maybe living at home and there being some turbulence. Of course, there's all kinds of scenarios that you may be in if you're crossing paths with this video, so take it as it resonates. But sometimes the 2 of Swords can be like a stalemate, like, something's not right and it's kind of like you don't want to see it for all that it is, but there needs to be some, resolution or moving forward, but it might entail a difficult choice. So again, I'm picking up on like maybe some tensions. Maybe you live at home or you have roommates and, there's something about it that's not quite what you want. But it's kind of hard, it's hard to come face to face with those truths without knowing what the solution is. Of course, when we get the 2 of Swords, we're talking about the need to remove the blindfold, make that difficult choice. You may be stuck in the middle of 2 different outcomes of a very important decision. And just breathing into that, allowing it to be what it is, and also opening yourself and surrendering to whatever hidden information that there is for you to realize, instead of, the denial that you may have been in. And so then following that, we have the Sun and the 10 of Cups. So it's kind of like you're covered. Like the universe, your angels, your spirit guides is on your side here. Like you are blessed. You will have the home environment that is going to bring you joy, that positivity of the Sun. I mean, the Sun is just such a beautiful card to get in a reading. And for the facet about your home and environment, to have the Sun there, I mean, we're talking like a complete symbol of joy and success and just ultimate truth, moving to somewhere that is going to bring you full alignment and happiness and optimism. And this is a huge achievement that you've been wanting for quite some time. So again, as we work through that 2 of Swords energy, like we're bringing us closer to the clarity we need to make the decisions to bring that Sun and 10 of Cups into our life. And of course, with 10 of Cups, we've got happy family, happy relationship, happy home. I mean, you're blessed in this area. The Spirit wants you to know, like, don't fret. Like, you will work through what you need to work through, and you will get to this place of the Sun and the 10 of Cups. So whatever you journaled, or like whatever resonated with you in this section, Spirit is saying pay close attention to that. Pay close attention to those things that intuitively came to you, whether it's decluttering or spending time with your pets, or having a corner of your home that, is going to feel cozy and feel sacred, setting up your altar, whatever it may be, those things we talked about before. So, all right, that is the fourth facet. Let's move on to the fifth facet, which is love life. So this could be any range of statuses. So whether you're single, whether you're in a twin flame separation or union, whether you are, dating somebody new, dating someone that you've been with a long time, whether you're married, whether you're recently married, recently divorced, this message is for you. You don't have to have a very active or established love life to, have any messages in this facet resonate for you. But of course, we all have different priorities. So you may feel like you don't want to be prioritizing your love life right now, or you don't want to be dating. But ultimately, even at the most subconscious or lowest priority, there is something long-term that you envision for this facet, right? So even if you're in a state right now where you don't really want to date, you want to just take some time to be single, and you want to work on yourself, that is totally okay. And that's great that you're able to have clarity on that goal. Then the notes that you may be potentially wanting to take or reflect on for this facet, if you're in that scenario, is what steps, as part of your inner work, as part of your journey of being single, of taking that time to be single, what steps do you need to take to long-term prepare yourself for love? And again, this may be very low on your priority list. You may just want to be taking time, for your health and wellness, or your home life, or your free time, or your spirituality. But ultimately, there is something intertwined with those. Perhaps it's opening your heart more. Perhaps it's, working on your sense of self-worth or self-value or self-confidence, so just knowing, like, what are the things that are going to set you up for your love life. And again, these may be things that you more so put into the first facet, like self-transformation, but just a reminder. This facet is a reminder for you. If you're somebody who doesn't feel like you want to prioritize your love life, this facet is a reminder to evaluate in what ways you need to work on yourself to prepare and open yourself up for a love life when you are ready for it, when you are eventually going to be ready for it. And for those who are in a relationship, this could be any range of things that you may want to work on. Maybe there's something in your relationship that you want to communicate better about, or this is a reminder to take that time to check in with your partner, to allow room for each other to grow and learn and transform, and setting these intentions to grow together in ways that are compatible and aligned for both of your paths. Taking that initiative to really prioritize the relationship and really commit to continuing to grow with this partner, and to intertwine the other facets of life that you may not have previously made a connective, theme or topic of your relationship until now. For example, your spirituality, like maybe you don't talk to your partner about your spirituality or, as much as you would like, or maybe you don't talk about sleep and nutrition or fitness, or maybe you would like to hold each other accountable for certain habits, or maybe you would like to, with the free time facet, maybe you'd like to have more hobbies that you can do together, and prioritize taking that quality time together. Or with the home and environment, maybe you want to talk about your future goals and dreams and visions for a home or a city to live in, things like that. So Whatever resonates for your love life, for your existing relationship. Like, think about the ways in which you would like to nurture the relationship, or think about the topics that you would like to connect with your partner on more. And then for those of you who are like single and looking, or who are lightly dating, or who are like specifically looking for love, similar to the group of those who have decided to remain single, the message from Spirit is to evaluate what exact inner work you need to prioritize in order to open yourself up to and magnetize yourself to the love life that you desire. This is a very like planning period exercise to do, to think about what is it that the relationship is going to make you feel? What are some specific scenarios that you can kind of visualize to get yourself embodying those feelings, so that you can really get clear on that in your internal world before you seek it in your external, or before you magnetize it in your external. So, okay, that's kind of some general scenarios you may be in. And we're pulling the Ace of Swords and the Temperance and the Knight of Wands. So I know I'm starting to pull 3 cards per facet because I'm just drawn to do so. So yeah, with the Ace of Swords, I mean, we're talking about like new mental beginnings. This is interesting because we've got the Page of Swords for the free time and like hobbies, adventure, travel category or facet. So there could be some kind of mental linking between the 3rd free time facet and the 5th love life facet. And I don't mean these numbers to correspond to your priority ranking. I just am trying to clearly categorize them here for the sake of this video. So of course, order them as you feel resonates, but definitely a linkage between free time, hobbies, and love life. So, you know, with the Ace of Swords and the Page of Swords together, there's like new beginnings in mental clarity, new mental breakthroughs, intellectual breakthroughs. So you're learning, oh, like I want to do this in my love life. I want to do this in my free time. You're getting clear. You're getting that mental clarity. And the fact that you're getting that in both of those facets is also making me think that there's some linkage between the two. So definitely take this as it resonates, but you could be going through a fresh start in both areas, and they're kind of linked maybe in your mind. Maybe you're feeling like you want them to be very intertwined, these two facets. And so again, that could manifest as, you know, your existing partner and you making more of a priority and commitment to a new hobby, a joint hobby. Or it could be, if you're single, you know, meeting somebody through the adventure, through the trips and the travel, and through the new hobbies or creative projects or passion projects, you know, that you're implementing and pursuing in your life. So that could be how you meet somebody, for example. So definitely, like, I'm getting like a potential intertwining of those two facets. And then with the Temperance card, of course, we've got balance. So how can you seek more balance, more harmony in either your existing love life or within yourself to then magnetize that into your relationship? And Spirit is also saying, you know, to take a pause and think about, what do you define as balance in your relationship? What does that look like for you? Whether you're in a relationship or not, really take that time to maybe do a journaling or a reflection on this, and really visualize like what that would look like. And then you can start to kind of link it to your current reality, again, whether you're in a relationship or not, and just have that, you know, surrender to those breakthroughs, because they will come through to you when you really sit and reflect and channel through on this. You'll get really clear on, oh, this is a way in which I need to do this inner work, or I need to have this communication with my partner so that I can achieve greater balance in my love life. And then also, if you are not dating, or if you're like single and you are wishing or seeking love, of course, the Temperance talks about patience and maintaining that calm and steady approach. And this could also apply to somebody who's dating somebody new, you know, not jumping into things, but having that really balanced, wise, calm approach on something. instead of that all or nothing kind of mindset. And so just, taking things slow, and if opposing perspectives or, conflicts come, then how can we kind of synergize them and alchemize them into a harmonious balance and path of harmony, through compromise or being more diplomatic in your communications. And of course, with the Knight of Wands, we have something moving at a fast speed. And I know I just said taking things slow with the Temperance, but with the Eight of Wands, I'm definitely picking up on throughout the 2026 year, or, throughout the next year, whenever you're watching this, this energy of something that is like fast moving. What I'm really getting strongly for the collective, and of course, take this as it resonates. Don't take this as like an external validation or something that's going to soothe your ego, but I'm getting that like in this next year to come, you're not only going to have rapid movement in this facet of life, your love life, but it's also going to be like such progress where like you'll never go back to the way it was before. So maybe you're single right now, maybe you've been single a long time, but even if not, like, let's say you're single right now, in this year to come, the relationship that you're going to be magnetizing in is going to change your life, where, whether you end up with that person or if it's just a temporary, soul connection or soul contract, you're going to be changed for the better and permanently. And whether you're single and looking, and so maybe you're magnetizing in a relationship in this next year, again, don't just take that as external content to soothe your ego. We're all on different paths. Take what resonates. This is a collective reading. It's very general, or whether you are someone single who's intending to stay single, still, I'm getting this Eight of Wands energy, this huge, quick progress where you are stepping into this new timeline. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, this is next year, or this is going to take 1 year. I mean, we're all on different timelines, and, in the spiritual realm of our spiritual evolution and our inner work, there really is no time or space. But of course, in the physical earthly realm, there is very much a concept of time and the divine timing that it takes to heal and manifest things. But yeah, I'm just picking up that like this transformation you're going through with this Eight of Wands is so powerful, and will be one that you remember. It'll stand out amongst the timeline of your life. This card can also talk about travel. And as I was saying before, with the connection of the Ace of Swords and the Page of Swords of your love life and your free time facets, respectively, I'm also kind of picking up that if you are the part of the collective that is having that strong intertwining of your free time facet and your love life facet, travel can be really important, because we talked about in the third facet of life, being all kinds of adventures and trips and travel that you may want to be doing and planning on your free time. And so with the Knight of Wands also representing travel, that's just being emphasized here. And yeah, I'm just getting like your love life is something that you are passionate about, whether you're intending to stay single or whether you're looking for love or in a relationship. I mean, this is something that you care about. I mean, this is like a lifelong partnership is something that matters to you, and that is a core value. And so it's meaningful to you, and it's something you're passionate about. So Spirit is guiding you to reflect on the fact that this facet may be one of the most important for you. So this would, of course, be your sign to really prioritize, the momentum that the Knight of Wands is representing, really prioritize that movement, when it comes to the facet of your life that involves love life. And I also just want to touch on the interpretation of the Temperance and the Knight of Wands together, and just the fact that I know that these kind of may seem like different approaches, where the Temperance is a little bit more calm and patient and balanced, and then the Knight of Wands is very fast moving. So again, take it as it resonates, but you may be taking fast action, or you may be taking, fast internal progress. So again, like different interpretations of what the Knight of Wands movement and passion may be representing for you. But regardless of the interpretation, the passion of the Knight of Wands is being guided by a sense of balance and moderation and this kind of emotional wisdom. So, it's okay to take, fast movements as you see fit. It's also okay to intertwine this with careful, measured steps, embody both and, really become a master of your craft, a master of your love life, we should say, where you know when to take action and when to take things slow and, have a bit more patience and a balanced approach, right? So that's definitely a strong message for you to really take in and reflect with your intuition as to, as you go throughout this journey, as you are on your path of your love life, in what ways do you need to embody the Temperance and in what ways do you need to embody the Knight of Wands? And again, with the Ace of Swords here, we've got mental clarity, we've got that intellectual side. So you may be learning more about this. You may be learning about healthy relationship habits, healthy relationship communication styles. You may be learning about just healthy ways to exist in a relationship where you can embody that balance of the Temperance and Knight of Wands. This is all things that are coming into your mental field, your intellectual knowledge, your clarity about this topic. So beautiful reading there. Okay, let's move on to the last two facets. We've got social is number 6. And so we've got friendships, community. This could also be your family, like your extended family. If you have kids, you may want to put that maybe as an additional facet, or maybe like that's something that you put as like a sub bullet under your love life if you're raising kids with your partner, let's say. And so that's kind of like an aspect of your relationship that you have to like talk about and pursue together. You may also just want to lump family and kids into the social facet when we talk about community and just ways that you are like socially fulfilled. But again, like if family is something that like you have a big family, you spend a lot of time with family, like extended family. Again, you can split that out into an additional facet. We're getting a little bit more flexible here towards the end. So, anything else that's kind of popping up that you feel like you need an additional facet for that's like not been met already. And just a quick spoiler alert, the 7th facet and the last one will be finances and career. So that's kind of the last one. Again, even those could be separated. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're working with here. So again, organize the facets as you see fit. I'm going to pull one general reading for social. So take it as it applies to, your friendships, your community, your family, extended family, things like that. So, okay, we have the 7 of Wands, very interesting. So you may be feeling, and this is again a collective general reading, so it doesn't necessarily have to resonate with you, but take the intuitive guidance as you see fit. But the 7 of Wands is about kind of like defending your stance. It can be like conflict, but it's also like a very individual kind of internal conflict or competition, like battling against yourself or competing with yourself or something like that. But it's also just a message of healthy competition, right? Like the constant desire to improve and do better. And a reminder from Spirit not to let this be like an anxiety-ridden journey for you. And not to let like the external circumstances be a determinant of how you feel about this journey or challenge or even struggle that you're in. So it may be more of an internal struggle that you need to conquer, in dealing with whatever conflicts may be arising with friendships or family or lack thereof if you're feeling like not a sense of strong community. But ultimately, this inner conflict can be productive if it's showing you the gaps, of where you are and where you want to be. And, take that information and, alchemize it into what you seek to manifest. don't lose sight of your goal or get caught up in the conflicts. Know and get clear on what you envision for your friendships, for your family relationships, for your sense of community. Again, if you're undergoing conflicts with your friends and family, then you may want to take that time to visualize how you would like your friendships to make you feel and your family dynamics to make you feel. Not because we can control other people and, change that necessarily, but because we want to magnetize ourselves to how we want, those relationships to make us feel. And, this is a huge journey about like boundary setting and standards that we want to keep. And it's not a black and white line in terms of, the boundaries we set with our friends and family and, the complex dynamics that you may be enduring in those relationships, and it can be a journey again of intense inner struggle. But just a reminder that like the struggle is showing you something. It is allowing you to get clear on what you want. And then from there, you can kind of problem solve, how you need to show up in those relational dynamics. And that brings us to the Knight of Pentacles. So this is, again, a very grounded sign. It's practical. So this is like the solutions that are going to help you in whatever conflicts you may be facing. I know this is a very specific kind of reading about like conflicts in your friendships and family. So again, take it as it resonates. But with the Knight of Pentacles, it's an energy of patience and perseverance and knowing that like there is a course, there is a path that we are on, and, we are going to follow through it with discipline and commitment and accomplish what we seek. And so there's also an embodiment of kindness and reliability and honesty, just such safe and grounded characteristics to hone in on when you're dealing with these relationships. Another message I'm getting, and this could resonate with your opinions on community or your relationships with friends and family, but it's the individuality of this journey. Embrace your unique perspective, embrace your unique needs, and really get clear on what you envision your friendships and family and community to look like, even if it's unconventional. Really get clear on what intuitively feels good to you when you think about that facet of life and when you think about what you want it to look like and how you want it to make you feel. Have that courage and the assertion to really, stand up for those needs. And with the Knight of Pentacles in combination, you're defending your position with a really steady and persistent effort. Remaining diligent and committed to your goals and being really grounded in your stance. And patience, because again, you can't control the external outcomes or how people behave. So there does require the patience of this journey. It may take time for you to attract the soul family that you seek. So whatever challenges that you may be facing in this facet, to really take them on with a sense of discipline and commitment, and like an unwavering persistence and dedication to the hard work. And I also just, again, want to reiterate like the pressures, the societal pressures, or even the, relational pressures you may feel. Like you may have certain aspects of your friendship, family, community that are imposing pressures onto you. And, so you may be going through a phase where you really need to stand your ground and know yourself, know your needs, know your social needs. I'm also hearing like not overcommitting to like social gatherings if like maybe you're feeling like kind of that introverted embodiment, and so you just don't need to be draining yourself or overgiving. That's like a specific scenario that's coming through. But yeah, just, standing up for your needs, in the face of whatever pressure or even competition is arising in these aspects of your life. And on the topic of competition, I'm also channeling into this sense of maybe like comparison. Spirit is just saying to remember who you are, remember what your needs are, what your social needs are, and don't worry about comparison. Again, don't worry about if your way is unconventional or, those comparisons that just are ego traps. And again, with the Knight of Pentacles, just, having that consistent dedication and consistent action taking. Even if it's a cautious, or slow approach, or you may need to be methodical in your approach or in the fine-tuned aspects of these interrelational dynamics. And Spirit also wants you to get clear on in what ways in these relationships you need to have attention to detail, whether it's in conflict resolution or, the logistical planning of, social gatherings or, connections or, quality time, family gatherings, whatever it may be. And just, continue to move steadily towards your objective when it comes to this facet. If hurdles come up or competition or pressures or stressors, just understand that the journey may feel challenging right now, but it is worth the effort and persistence, and just to continue, doing your best you can to navigate whatever conflicts may arise, and just, have that grounded sense of stability that the Knight of Pentacles is bringing. So that is the reading for the social facet of life. So again, like this could be anything in your community, ways that you want to be more involved in your community, ways that maybe you need to reflect on your existing friendships and any gaps that you're missing when it comes to fulfillment in your friendships, or just general fulfillment with your sense of community. Like, do you feel like you have a strong sense of community, or like, meaningful connections in your neighborhood type of thing? Maybe even like how you contribute to society. Maybe you're being called to volunteer or, play a greater role in your community. And then again, if you're counting this with family, if there's family conflicts, again, the holidays are coming up. So, Spirit is guiding you to, with intention, navigate through this holiday season, through whatever family conflicts may arise. And, how do you need to intertwine this with other facets, such as your spirituality, your self-transformation, how can you use, meditation and your intuition and your core value and beliefs, to navigate with confidence through your, family dynamics or just your social facet in general. How do you need to intertwine your commitment to social gatherings with your health and wellness and your own physical needs and rest and sleep and, the priorities, nutrition as well. Like if you're going to social gatherings, and what foods are there and what commitments you've made to yourself in terms of your nutrition, or, balancing, the indulgence with, your self-discipline, things like that, especially in these social gatherings where there can be pressures, to indulge in certain foods and treats and things like that. How can you balance that internally and, show up prepared and do your best in these scenarios. Also, like your social and your free time, that could be a strong intertwining that you want to, set a greater intention or commitment towards, combining your friendships with your hobbies, or meeting friends through recreational activities in your community, things like that. Making connections when you're on a trip or traveling, just to feel like you're connected with community or the collective, things like that. So that is the social facet. So let's go over the last facet, which is finances and career. And, you know, this is really your money, your investing, you know, and as well as your career and the projects you do in order to make money. And so we've got the 7 of Swords, very interesting, as well as the 4 of Swords and the 8 of Cups. I felt drawn to pull 3 cards for this one. So with the 7 of Swords, I'm definitely picking up on this need for strategy. So Spirit is saying, you know, get clear on exactly what you envision in this area. You know, whether you're trying to make more money, you know, you're trying to manifest more abundance in the material sense, or whether you are considering a new career or considering turning a passion project or hobby into, you know, a career or something that you can monetize. You know, really have a strategy laid out. You know, don't just be taking actions blindly without it relating to a plan that has been thoroughly strategized and that you've thoroughly reflected on. And with the 4 of Swords, I'm definitely interpreting this as a period of rest. I mean, we talked about earlier in this video that, you know, I'm releasing and recording this in the winter season and the end of 2025. So, but again, whether you are or are not in a winter season at the time that you are listening to this, the 4 of Swords definitely represents a winter season, at least in the facet of finances and career. And what I'm getting from this is that there is a need to kind of rest and reflect on your plans. You know, when it comes to, you know, strategizing with the 7 of Swords and having that plan going forward, it's okay to take that time to rest and not take action, you know, and just take this time to reflect and plan for the future without feeling the need to, you know, get started on that plan at this time. So, you know, allow yourself that time to really lay out that outline of your strategy. And then lastly, with the 8 of Cups, what I'm getting for this is that you are leaving behind scarcity mindset. This is coming through so strongly as I pulled this card. So you're walking away from the kind of emotional feelings of not having enough or not being able to achieve, you know, your financial goals or your dream career. Like, we're leaving that behind and we're moving on to abundance mindset. And again, you know, having that drive and ability to, you know, plan for the future, make an outline and stick to it. And, you know, when it comes time to take action, it's like you have a clear direction, you know, but to do that in the highest frequency that we can, we've got to let go of those old subconscious limiting beliefs, that old baggage that is weighing us down. And so the part of your subconscious that may be, you know, comparing your past failures and thinking that that's part of your identity and just egoically identifying with your past, like, leave that behind. Like, you can achieve abundance. You are quite literally made of abundance, of love, of light, of abundance. And you are an extension of source energy, like I always say. And so you have the light of abundance streaming through you. And all you need to do is breathe and tap into it in any given moment and remember that that's what you are made of. And the lack mindset will melt away because you'll realize that it is of your nature to be abundant, just like it is of your nature to have blood flowing through your veins. I mean, you at your core are abundance. And so leave behind these, you know, low frequency concepts and identities that have to do with you not being able to have enough, or, you know, just release those blockages. You're leaving them in the past and you're moving on. So that is the reading we have for finances and career. So that concludes our 7 facets. Let me know if there's another facet that you think I should, you know, address or, you know, make its own category. Let me know what resonated. I am feeling so strongly about this reading. I just feel it was such a powerful collective channeling. So I think this is going to be something I will be doing on a monthly basis. I feel really strongly about this. So I would love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know, how you ranked your facets. What are some goals that you are committing to, prioritizing within each facet? I mean, of course, commenting is a way to really, make that mark and put it in writing and, energetically commit to that intention and just allow that momentum to be that much stronger. So, put it in writing, put it in the comment, like the video. Thank you so much for being here, because your existence itself and, any interactions you have with the video to an even greater degree, but your existence itself is a part of this co-creation. You are the collective and you are such an important and special part of it. And I'm just so happy that you were here listening and, making that commitment to your journey, your spiritual evolution, your inner work, your outer work, right? Like in all facets of life, you quite literally are doing the work. So I'm so happy that you joined me for this reading, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.